What's going on, YouTube? So, I just want to share this with you guys right quick. But before I do that, I just want to go briefly back to the Serena Williams thing. Now, prior to making that last video that I made about Serena Williams, I didn't know, I didn't get a chance to view the entire video of her. I mainly saw photograph stills. But when I viewed the entire video from start to finish of her snapping off on the referees and judges at that U.S. Open tournament, it pretty much solidified everything that we already know about black women. But it raised a very important question, okay? Now, I think it's fair to note, everybody in the black community, both black women and black men alike, hell, even black children, we all know the venomous attitude of the black American female. We all know that. Okay? But the question has to be asked in this situation. Why do they expect to get anywhere in society, and especially in relationships, with members of the opposite sex acting like that? You hear these females talking about, you just can't deal with a strong black woman. Oh, you're a coon. You want to date white women, this, that, and the other. But the question has to be risen because at one time, black men and women were together. Okay? During Jim Crow, we were together. We were raising families. We did have, businesses and organized communities and schools for our children to go to. What has changed in the last 70 years? Well, a lot of things has changed. The economy within our community is almost completely dead. The institution of the black church is almost useless now. Black men as a collective have damn near been stripped of their masculinity and their overall power and influence over the black family, over, black women, black children, and the black community. And the black female, as an individual and as a collective, has been transformed from being a feminine, classy, cocktail dress wearing woman, as you've seen in those black and white photos, to this venomous, viperous, toxic, beast-like, anti-masculine, anti-black male, evil, conniving, snapping turtle, psychopathic, demon-like lunatic that is wreaking havoc not only on the minds of future generations of young black children, where three out of every 4 households only have these females and no fathers, but also they are further causing the deterioration of black masculinity, okay? Whether it's, dragging a dude that at one time may have, felt very serious about being in a relationship with her through the mud, or, down talking to a man, or misraising a black boy with no father figure to be a young savage. As David Carroll says, she as a collective has completely fucked up black manhood to the point where now those of us black men who are sane, who are, steady thinking brothers, who do have our wits about us, we see this black American female as no longer our woman. We don't even want to be bothered with her. Like I said, that chick that I was on the flight with, unfortunately, 3 weeks ago, she was a nice looking chick. She wasn't no dime piece, but she was a nice little dark skinned chick, just talking and talking and talking. Had things been more normal in the environment of what people classify as black America, I would have been thinking about, like, man, maybe off the clock, I go back to her hotel, maybe I can get some pussy. If I let her, talk my ears off, maybe I could, let her talk to maybe get her in the bedroom or something. But the only thing I could think about was getting away from her. And I later thought about that. Why? Because black females have repulsed us to the point where we don't even want to be bothered with them on any level anymore. I'm talking about those of us, free thinking brothers that have, taken the so-called red pill and jumped out of that matrix, stepped outside of the matrix, and now we can turn around and see the matrix, or what I like to call the simptrix, for what it is. Okay? It is a trap that is designed to destroy black manhood and black masculinity. Okay? So a legitimate question has to be asked. Because I see these black brothers around, where I live and work with white women all the time now. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's to the point where, quite frankly, I'm getting tired of seeing it. I really am. But why do black males have this mentality? Why? Because of females like Serena Williams, okay, that they think that somehow the world evolves around them. And when I saw her acting the way she was acting, the first thing that when I finally got a chance to look at that video, I said to myself, yep, that's black women. That's the first thing I said to myself. That's a black woman right there. I even went through this with my ex. There was a couple of times when, the argument would come up that, oh, well, dark-skinned black women are less desired, because she was very dark-skinned female, my ex. And she would say, well, that's the reason why, black women are so bitter and, we feel so alone, is because we're picked last. And the irony of this is that she pretty much solidified, by the time I finally broke up with her, she pretty much solidified why black women are picked last. As I said in a video not too long ago, dark-skinned black women, there are many gorgeous dark-skinned black women, drop dead gorgeous to me, from a physical heterosexual male point of view. Okay? From, just talking about physical attraction and nothing else, there are many drop dead gorgeous black women. Okay? Very, voluptuous. I mean, I could match, some of the prettiest black women that I've seen up against any other race of woman. There are many pretty women of all races, but I'm just saying. Okay? That is not the issue. And this is what I tried to explain to my ex. And this was earlier in the relationship when, we were having our arguments and disagreements over dumb shit, and she was doing things to test me and tantalize me. Even then, I should have saw the warning signs and got out then. But I told her the same thing that I say in the Serena Williams case. Now, we all know without that simp-ass white boy, there's no way in heaven or hell she would be married right now. Okay? And the only reason she got married, let's be honest about this now, is Serena Williams and Venus Williams did not have the skill set and athleticism that they had to raise them, to the level of professionalism where they could play tennis on the level that they're at and gain the fame and wealth that they've acquired over their careers. Venus and Serena Williams, being from, Compton, California, would likely be nothing more than two, attitude-having, finger-snapping, cat fight in the street, Instagram, butt-shot, Snapchatting black females like any others, full of illegitimate children, going from one baby daddy to the next. Look, we know this is true. We ain't even gotta play with this. Okay? We ain't even gotta play with this. We know this would be the case. Okay? The only reason this woman is married in the first place Not saying she couldn't get a mixed race child, though given her her physically unfortunate features, she probably wouldn't have as good of a chance getting a mixed race child as say like a Tika Sumpter or something like that. But just setting that aside, the only reason why she's married is because of her celebrity status. That's it. We all know this, okay? But in spite of her celebrity status, she simply cannot control that she beast. Y'all remember that movie Beauty and the Beast? That is literally Beauty and the Beast. Walt Disney's Beauty and the Beast is one and the same fucking thing when it comes to a majority of black females. They're not separate. You don't have the little darling, quiet, shy, petite, cute, little frail, red or blonde haired white girl on one end and the beast that she's seduced by and falls in love. No, these are one and the same fucking thing. Beauty is the fucking beast. And unfortunately, us black men, we don't have much to work with when it comes to these females. I see them out here every day. The younger ones, the older ones that are freshmen in high school. You can look at them and the way they act and tell that they're fucked up. It's really sad. It's nothing, this is not me, we've been accused constantly of bashing black women. But you saw the Australian newspaper. You saw the Australian newspaper illustrate a cartoon of the way they see not only Serena Williams, but the way they see black women as a collective. Okay? You saw Conor McGregor, the fucking Irish MMA star. He got on stage during that whole promotion in 2017 where he was promoting the fight with Floyd Mayweather. And he said, "This is for all my beautiful black female fans." And he stuck out his booty and started shaking it. This is a dude from Ireland. So that's what Ireland sees of black women. That's what Australia sees of black women. They're putting their dysfunction and their buffoonery and their insanity on the world stage for everyone to see. And then wonder why they have the failing numbers in dating, in marriage that they do. If you advertise yourself as nothing but a psychotic whore, how do you expect to find Mr. Right and the knight in shining armor? You should see all of these females on social media. These ratchet ass females talking about what kind of man they're gonna marry one day. You ain't getting married to no dude in his right damn mind. If you do, it's gonna last all of 5 minutes. Ain't no dude in his right mind that's marriage minded gonna marry you. You must be crazy. Everybody points to Eve. Again, Eve's celebrity status saved her. Okay? And I guarantee you, Eve, the self-titled pit bull, I guarantee you she ain't playing that shit with that white boy. Like I said before, I guarantee you she makes him breakfast in bed almost every single morning and makes him dinner at night. Well, I don't know. They might have a maid and a butler, but still, I guarantee you he does not see that attitude from her. He's a billionaire too. I guarantee you he don't see that attitude. There are white boys out there, that have, had a whole jungle fever mentality. But I promise you, if they stay with these chicks, they don't see that same attitude off these hoes that we see. Okay? But Serena Williams showed it. She's been holding it in all that time that she's been with that white boy, been posing on magazines with her mixed race child and being pregnant and all of that, and being held up by these black females as the queen of swirling, to take the crown from Kerry Washington and all of that. She's been pinning up all that frustration. She's getting older. She never had good looks, so we can't even say she fell off. I mean, she fell off from birth. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, now she's losing more tournaments. People don't know this, but this is actually not the first time that Venus and Serena have lost a tournament in recent years. Just like Tiger Woods, they've started falling off, which is going to happen as you get older. you know. So why is she tripping? But she's been holding in all this frustration. And that Compton hood rat slowly but surely started coming out of her. And when it did, the world rightfully made note of it. As they say, there's nothing more to see here. But anyway, just had to get that out of the way. Now the other thing that I needed to address was this question that I need to pose to you Negroes. Because yesterday, right as I was beginning to work on this video, the audio for this video, a strange thing occurred which rarely occurs. One of my female cousins called me, and I don't know why, because I mean, we're cool, but I rarely talk to her. But anyway, my female cousin, she called me, and I didn't even know she still had my number. She started telling me, for some reason, we got in conversation and everything, but then she started telling me about this guy that worked for the post office that she struck up a nice conversation with, because she was trying to mail some stuff off to a friend, and she went into the post office to get some stamps and some packaging, and there was this black guy that she struck up a conversation with that worked there, and they exchanged social media. A lot of people don't know there's more females handing out their Instagram and Snapchats than there are handing out their numbers these days. But anyway, she exchanged social media with this guy, and she said, because she just saw him as like a cool, interesting guy. He was talking about how he was in the military and all this, and she said he seemed like he was very mature and intelligent, had his wits about him, and he was, they got into a very intellectual conversation, and she wanted to maybe continue the conversation with him and just, add him as like a friend on Facebook or Instagram. But she said within a few hours of, sending this guy social media, like literally within a few hours, he went from, being this nice, clean cut, mature dude to this pervert that was like freaking her out and making her fear for her safety, because he started texting her, hey baby, this is just what she was showing me, like, hey baby, you want to see my dick, and then he started like sending her photos, and we know Negroes do this more than anybody, so that's not surprising. But what was surprising was how he transformed from, being a pretty intelligent, interesting guy into a fucking perverted weirdo. And so she blocked him. And then she said after she blocked him, an anonymous account came on like 2 days later to her social media requesting a friend request. She didn't accept it. And then it started sending her messages, threatening her, threatening to get other girls to whoop her ass, and she's nothing but a hoe. And she said she knew it was more than likely him, because she doesn't get involved in drama like that. And she was trying to think to herself, what would prompt this dude to just start going off on her like that? Just because she blocked him when he was sending her penis pics. What would make him so almost violently angry, where he'd start initiating verbal threats, and he went through all the trouble of making another, anonymous sock puppet account just to harass her. And I told her, and I think this is the first time that I ever expressed my, personal convictions about black people in general to a family member outside of my immediate family. I told her he's a fucked up degenerate that was likely raised by a single black mother, and because of that, the only ways that he knows how to express himself is through his sexuality and through his aggression. I mean, when you look at from what she was describing to me, when you look at how and she showed me, I'm for the sake of respecting my cousin, I'm not going to show you guys the screenshots, but she showed me some of the screenshots, and it didn't surprise me, but it's really a textbook example of what the fuck is wrong with like 90% of black males. And I asked her, well, how old did he look? And she said, well, I never asked him his age, but he looked like he was probably in his late 20s or early 30s. So that means he was around my age. And my cousin, she's in her early to mid 20s. So I said, well, this pretty much just solidifies what me and so many other black male YouTubers say about black males being fucked from birth. See, a man, I don't know if y'all remember that movie John Q with Denzel Washington and his son. He collapsed after playing baseball at the elementary school, and they rushed him to the hospital, found out that he needed a new heart because he had an enlarged heart that was very weak. And the movie, as it went on, Denzel Washington's character, he took hostages inside the hospital because they refused to do the surgery because they didn't have enough insurance. And he took hostages to try to force them to do surgery to save his son's life. Well, in that movie, at the end of the movie, he asked the police negotiator, while the hostage drama was still going on inside of the hospital, he asked the police negotiator if he could talk with his son, because he got so desperate, he decided that what he was going to do was he was going to kill himself and allow his son to get his heart out of his body and put it in the body of his son so his son could live. And what he said to his son was something that always stuck with me. He started talking with his son about, he realized that he was going to die and that he was not going to be there to, rear his son completely into manhood, in his formative years. And his son was only like, 8, 9 years old. So he's on the phone with his son, with his wife standing there crying, surrounded by police. And he's talking to his son, and he's going over the very basic principles and things that a young man should learn with his son as he's preparing to do what he thinks is going to be a suicide in an effort, for his son to get his heart, so he can get a heart transplant. And one of the things he's saying is, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but he's saying, treat the young ladies like princesses because that's what they are. We know that's simp. But he's telling him, different things, how to stay out of trouble with the law. He's just going down the list of things that a man would go down the list of as he rears his boy into manhood, as he teaches him how to become a man over a course of time. But he knows that he's out of time now because he's going to kill himself in an effort to save his son. So he wants to get all of this out now, at least leave it with his son. Okay. And the point of me bringing that movie scene up is that is what the monumental problem is with these young black boys. That's why as soon as my little cousin, she rejected his sexuality, he went right to aggression, just like Serena Williams, right? She didn't get her way, and she threw a wildebeest-like temper tantrum. because she didn't get her fucking way. And she started acting insane. The problem is with these young males is, in addition to being feminized, being effeminized by these black women, they also have testosterone, which makes them more aggressive, which makes them violent, outright deadly. See, a woman, she's just gonna bitch and moan, maybe have a cat fight. I even said to one of you brothers a while back that these ratchet chicks, they seem to fight more now than the boys. The boys just pull out guns and start shooting at each other. See what I'm saying? So I told her, this does not surprise me. And she disagreed with me because she was raised by a single mother, but she's a pretty, as far as black females go, she's a pretty decent, level-headed person. Her father, my uncle, was in her life to some extent, but she was raised mostly by her mother, but she was never out there, like heavily in the streets or anything like that. So I told her, he's fucked up. And likely he's fucked up because he was raised by a single black baby mama. He didn't have a father figure to teach. I didn't say it to her like that, but I told her, he likely didn't have a father figure in front of him to teach him, the difference between right and wrong and how to act and react to situations. So when he doesn't get his way, he acts like a female on their period and just goes completely nuts. You rejecting him by blocking him. See, him acting charming in the beginning was just a setup. Okay? Like these black females in front of these white boys that call themselves swirling. Then the setup, trying to throw himself at you sexually, like these black females do with these white boys. Then the rejection comes, like Serena losing at that match. And then you see the eruption of the ratchet volcano. That pretty much destroys everything in its path, dropping hot lava on every fucking thing, right? So what do you guys think about that? And another thing, why do so many of you Negroes pull out your dick? And if black females had that same problem, they act like their pussy is like, 10 carats of gold. And I've been inside enough of these hoes to know that most of them, they shit is loose. It's like sticking your shit in soft ice cream or something. There has been very few black females that I have had intercourse with that were impressive in the bedroom. Very few. Very few. But it's the same thing with you Negroes. Y'all act like y'all got something different down there. Why are you always sending pictures of your dick? You know how many billions of men have, how out of the 4 billion men on this planet, 4 billion men on this planet, you know how many of them have penises? 3 or 4 billion? So, well, again, I pretty much answered my own question earlier. So it is what it is. Thanks so much, guys. Remember, I thank you guys for your donations. I'm going to be doing a live stream pretty soon within the next 1 or 2 weeks. Probably within the next week, I'm going to be doing a live stream. I'd love to have you guys there, hang out with you guys for a while. Among other things I'm going to be discussing the prospect of going into doing vlogging professionally, which means, I need you guys to, help me out. Those of you who are my supporters, because to do this professionally would mean that pretty much would be my fucking job, making videos, which I love doing. I haven't really seriously considered it before, but I'm looking at it not as a full-time thing, but maybe a part-time thing. But it means that I'd have to take a lot more time off of doing what I do for a living, which is cool if it pays off. But again, that's one of the things that we're going to discuss. And the other thing we're going to discuss is how us as black men move forward. Now that we're, nearing the end of 2018, going into the year 2019. So thanks so much, guys, for listening. If you want to donate, my link is down in the description box. And be sure to make sure you're subscribed to me over on Black Avenger TV, BitChute, and my 2 alternate channels here, as well as Gab TV and Patreon. Thanks so much, and talk to you later, guys.